Welcome to Reach the World ASAP. My name is Pastor Scott Griswold, and I have the joyful privilege of working with ASAP Ministries. Today, I want you to leave the comfort of your living room, your office, your smartphone, and travel with me to the slums of Cambodia. It's a trip I've taken many times, but the most recent trip happened just last March with my son Nathan. He shot this footage that you're about to see. I'm standing in the middle of a slum here in Cambodia. Had to search a little while because they keep chasing them out of the city towards the edge of the city so that the land that they're on can be used for other purposes that they want to use it. In fact, I just talked with one of the men here and he said, as soon as we build up the land and make it a little bit nice around our housing, which is illegal housing, then someone comes along and says, well, this belongs to us, move on out, get on out. So they have to move again. He's been here about 10 years since he last had to move, and now they're threatening them that they're going to have to get out and go again. It's tough. It's a man without land, a man without a future. All he does every day is get on his little old motorcycle and drive out to the new place where the new garbage dump is, gather some things that he can sell, take them to a place and make just a few real, a little bit of money, that he can buy some rice, some dried fish, something to feed his family. He was pretty cheerful about it all, but I know it's tough. You see, I've worked in a place like this before. Back in 1992 to 1998, my family and I moved here to Cambodia and started learning the language and helping the people as we could. And one day, my wife stumbled along a place almost just like this. I couldn't take you there because it's gone now. The government has moved the people out. They're building a big city section there now. And so as she came across it, they had all kinds of needs. People were hungry, people were sick, people were just trying to make a living, survive. And she started trying to say, what can we do to help them? First thing she could think of was, they need jobs, they need a way to make a living. And so she tried the first thing that came to her mind, a fly swatter. With all the flies around and all the problems, she thought, hey, they could make fly swatters and sell them to people, or at least to foreigners. And that turned out to be the only people who wanted them, was the foreigners. So the next thing she did was ask the ladies themselves, what can you do? If you had a little bit of money, just a little bit to buy something and get started, what would you use? What would you do? And so they said, well, the best thing we know how to do is crochet. We can make sweaters, tablecloths, all kinds of stuff. And they began to show her little things they'd made that were absolutely beautiful. Beauty in the midst of this filth, this dirt. Well, she got them yarn, she got them things, and they began to make these beautiful things that she could take and go sell to those who had money. And slowly their lives improved. One day she looked at them and she said, if you had $50, what would you do with it? If you had that much money, $50, wow, that seemed like so much. One said, well, I'd buy a kettle that could work. Mine's got a hole in it. Another lady said, I'd get a uniform so my child can go to the free public school that she can't go to because I can't buy the most basic little things. Another said, I'd raise my house a little higher so when the rains come, the sewer wouldn't flow through my house along with the snakes. What dreams these people had! All if they could only just have $50 to get them started. And so that's what they did. They pooled their resources together. Each one of them would put in a little until there was $50, and then one would take it and do that special dream. And then they'd work slowly and gather out of the proceeds of what they were selling, and the next person would get to do it. And so slowly in that dumpy place where children would sometimes fall into the water and drown, or other people would get typhoid, diarrhea, and the little children would die because they didn't know how to keep giving water so they wouldn't die. In that place slowly grew a group of people who knew how to take care of themselves, how to help each other, how to protect themselves from bad health. Finally, we got to do something I've been wanting to do for so long. You see, there were no toilets, so the people would just come out of the back of their houses and do their thing. And it smelled so bad. So we found a way to put in toilets. We put in 9 outhouses. The people themselves helped dig them out and put them in, and finally they had a clean place to go, and the smell began to improve. It amazes me how people can live in a spot like this and yet be cheerful and do the best they can. Let me interrupt myself to ask you this question. Were you thankful today when you used the bathroom? Did you think about how lucky you were to close the lid, push the handle, and have everything just disappear? Probably you didn't think about it at all, just a habit. It's sure been a while since I thought about it. What a blessing to have a bathroom. What a blessing to have an outhouse. It doesn't just stop the smells, it stops the flies, which stop the diseases from being carried directly to the people's food.
This is so important because people die every day from diarrhea. 660 million people live without good sanitation. In the poorest countries of the world, it's estimated that for every 10 deaths, one of them comes from diarrhea. That's from the World Health Organization. Doesn't that make you want to go somewhere and build an outhouse? It was so rewarding to teach the people in the slum near our house how to have better sanitation and better health. We knew it would save lives. Did you see what a difference a little bit of money made when it was used to help someone have a job? When we were in Cambodia, I loved to hear Julie share her stories about the ladies' excitement as they earned enough money to fulfill some of their dreams. But there's another major key to the poor getting out of their poverty. Listen to what this man has to say. He's sitting next to my son, Rota.
I just met another man in this area, and he shared with me his story, how during the time of Pol Pot, when there was horrible war in this country, he was just so desperately poor, he couldn't study, couldn't learn anything. Now he has 6 children. The oldest one's 17, the youngest is 3. And he is so happy. Why? Because his children are being able to study. They're going to have a better future. I asked him, are they just studying at the government school, which is usually only half a day? And he said, no, they get to study at an organization where they're learning English and Khmer and other things, that they're really able to improve their futures, improve their life. Education goes so far for the poor. What a joy it is when your children can finally study and go beyond what you've been able to do.
So what's one of the huge keys to taking a bite out of poverty? Education. You see, when the government provides free education, the uniforms or the school books or some other fees block many of the poorest from being able to send their children to school. Often teachers charge money for tutoring that's necessary to pass their tests. It's not fair, but it's the daily reality. Parents often need the older sister at home to watch the little ones while the parents try to work. I hate seeing it because I know that that girl is likely to be as poor as her mother the rest of her life. That's why I'm so excited that we have opened 4 feed and read schools where it's absolutely free for poor children. They get a free meal too. I met another lady. She was living in a dark room about 10 feet wide, all alone. She had one son who would check in on her every few weeks and give her a little something to survive. That made me feel really sad. I asked the neighbors how she makes it, and I learned that they help out a bit, so I decided to slip her something too. What we have can go so far. We dropped $10 for a meal just because we didn't have time to make a sack lunch for work. With a little more careful planning, with this lady's picture on our fridge or in our mind, we could replace that fast food meal with a sandwich and use the money to feed her a few lunches. That's a way you can take a bite out of poverty. It's really amazing just how far our money can go in the right place. We probably don't feel very rich, but we seldom think about how much we truly have compared to others. How much do you make an hour? How about in a day? Listen to what another lady makes that I met in that very same place.
Just talking with this lady, she's just come from the countryside about 2 years ago. She said there was absolutely no work for her there, nothing she could do in the countryside. So she's come to the city to try to make a living. So every day she goes out and she tries to make about 10,000 real, which is, maybe $2.50 a day. She has to also pay for her child's place to stay during the day. She's got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So after that, there's just a little bit left to survive on. So that's what life is like for a person who's left the countryside and come to the city. They're making it, but just barely.
She makes $2.50 a day if she's lucky. Of course, her expenses are less than ours, but gas prices have risen everywhere, and that drives up the price of rice and vegetables. And if there's a medical emergency, there's no way she can adequately take care of it. It is a struggle, and we can make a difference in lives like hers. But the sweetest hope I know of for the poor is not a handout, an outhouse, a microloan, or schooling. It's Jesus and heaven. It really is. The courage and joy that Jesus brings truly transforms the perspective and determination of the poor. I have seen it again and again. Beyond present help, heaven is such good news to the poor. Can you imagine learning about the free gift of a mansion where you don't get kicked out of your house as the city takes over your slum? Can you feel the joy of promised rest with plenty of food where you no longer have to dig through the garbage to find something worth selling? They need food and clothing. They need jobs. They need the practical loving care. But it's still true. Most of all, they need eternal salvation, the wonderful gift of Jesus' love. Listen to the rest of this lady's story.
This special lady just told me that she has found out about God. She's learned about Jesus. Somebody came by here and told her, and has been not just talking, but has been actually helping when she's sick, when she has a problem. They bring some money or they take her to the clinic. And through that, she's learned enough and decided she wanted to go to church. She's reading the Bible on her own. She's praying, and she was just smiling beautifully a minute ago with the reality that God loves her, that there's somebody out there to care for her in the midst of her troubles, that Jesus actually understands because he became poor.
That makes me so happy, doesn't it you? For quite a few years, ASAP Ministries has had a specific fund that people can donate to called simply the Poor Fund. We've used it to help when there have been devastating floods or, on the other hand, really bad droughts. We've used it to help widows who've just lost their husbands, to help people get started who need a job. We just got a letter from the Cambodian Adventist Mission telling us that this fund was most recently used to help a family who plant cassava for a living. That's the tall, skinny plant that people make tapioca out of. Apparently, there's a big demand for it in China and Malaysia to make noodles. A certain Seventh-day Adventist family had put all their money into their yearly crop. Then a huge rainstorm just devastated everything. There was no way they could afford to replant, and that would wipe them out for the entire year. The Poor Fund that some of you have given helped them start all over just for $150. Thank you so much for caring and sharing. If others would like to give, please go online at asapministries.org or call us at 866-365-3541. There are other wonderful places to help the poor, like ADRA, Adventist Development Relief Agency, and your own local community service centers. If we all will find ways to go without something here, something around us that we really don't have to have, it will make a significant difference. I am so pleased to know that through the loving ministry of many people, the poor are clothed, fed, housed, and empowered to better health and better jobs. I am so excited that they are also meeting Jesus for themselves. Join me with your sacrifices, with the gift of your love. I invite you to go specifically without something this week so someone else can be blessed. Find some way to take a bite out of poverty. As they say, live simply so others can simply live. Together, let's reach the world ASAP.